As you look at this screen right now, complex algorithms are keeping track of every look you make, guessing what you'll do next, and subtly changing the way you're thinking. These algorithms were made using mathematical principles that mirror the basic structure of the universe. Have you ever thought about how Google's main color sequence is like the chakra system's energetic frequencies? Or that the bitten apple in Apple's logo has always been a sign of getting forbidden information? Think about Meta's infinity logo, which stands for the endless feedback loops of consciousness and information. It's not a string of random events. Whether they are aware of it or not, the people who built our digital world have used the basic language of reality, the mathematical framework that quantum reality uses to shape and organize itself. There are basic rules in this framework that explain how to create reality. These rules have been used by global tech companies and secret power structures for decades. But something unexpected happens that they didn't see coming. Some people are waking up to a new potential because of the energy of this quantum awakening. You may be noticing repeated patterns of numbers, having synchronicities that defy all probability, or feeling an unstoppable pull toward deep, hidden knowledge. These things aren't just happening by chance. They are messages or nudges from the universe telling you that you have been chosen for a big job. This means that most people will ignore these signals and think they are just random. They will stay stuck in the consensus reality matrix. But if you are having these quantum activations, you need to figure out what is really going on before this one-of-a-kind chance passes. Now that you understand the quantum field's role as the invisible designer of reality's mechanics, it's time to look into the exact system it has built into existence. It's not just some vague philosophical ideas that are gathering dust in old books. Whether you are aware of it or not, they are the active, living code that makes your daily life happen. Mentalism is the first and most important principle. It says that everything is mind and that the universe is mind. This isn't just mystical poetry. It's a deep statement about how things really are that is supported by modern quantum physics. When professional athletes think about having a perfect performance for hours on end, they are not just daydreaming. Brain scans show that vivid mental rehearsal builds the same neural pathways as doing something physically. The mind can't tell the difference between something it really wants to happen and something it really wants to happen. Just think about the placebo effect, which is something that modern medicine acknowledges but has trouble explaining fully. People who are given simple sugar pills can have real, measurable changes in their bodies. Some people have had their tumors shrink, their chronic pain go away, and their depression lift just by believing they are getting a powerful treatment. The mind shows that it can change the shape of matter. The nocebo effect, on the other hand, shows that this principle has a dark side. People can get real symptoms if you tell them a harmless substance will make them sick. What they believe changes their biology in a real way. This is directly related to why the things you think about over and over again, like money, relationships, or your potential, so often become real for you. In other words, your mental states don't just reflect your circumstances, they create them. When someone thinks, "I'll never get ahead," over and over again, their subconscious mind blocks out opportunities that don't fit with their programming. There are patterns in every part of existence, as shown by the second principle, correspondence. As above, so below, inside, so outside. Because the same energetic blueprint controls both areas, your money situation often shows how you feel about your own worth. People who keep things for too long often keep their feelings for too long too. An individual whose living space is disorganized usually has a mind that is also disorganized and cluttered. These aren't just random events. They're signs of the same basic patterns showing up on different levels. At this very moment, look around your home. What is broken, crooked, or not being looked at? These external states are related to things going on inside you that you might not even be aware of. The ancient wisdom traditions knew that if you change a pattern on one level, it would have an effect on all levels that are related to it. The third principle, vibration, explains why walking into a certain room can instantly change your mood, or how a certain piece of music can take you to a different emotional state. Everything is always moving and vibrating at its own frequency. You are responding to vibrational resonance when you feel drawn to certain colors, foods, or places. As the saying goes, like frequencies attract. Your mood is a frequency. This is why the advice to be around things that raise your vibration, like art that makes you feel good, nature, and positive people, is more than just a nice idea. By tuning your own frequency, you are making it match the reality you want to experience. On the other hand, constant exposure to media that spreads fear, unhealthy relationships, or chaotic environments will lower your vibration, drawing to you experiences that match your lower frequency. The fourth principle, polarity, says that things that look like they are opposites are really just two sides of the same coin, or different levels of the same thing. Hot and cold are both ways to measure temperature, so they are not two different things. Love and hate are both very strong feelings that are connected to each other. On the spectrum of experience and learning, both success and failure may happen. Understanding the idea of polarity gives you the alchemical power to change any experience by realizing that it contains its opposite pole. You don't have to fight your fear when you feel it. Instead, you can move consciously toward courage. They're not two different feelings. Courage is just fear that has been changed by will. There is a range of abundance that includes both poverty and wealth. Joy and sadness are both different vibrations of the same emotion. Life is cyclical, as explained by the fifth principle, rhythm. Everything goes in and out, has tides and rises and falls. Being aware of these natural rhythms will help you handle the inevitable shifts and changes in your life. If you understand rhythm, you can be sure that even the hardest times will pass. More importantly, it teaches you how to predict and work with these cycles instead of giving up and giving in to them. The economy, the seasons, your daily energy levels, and the way your relationships change over time all follow rhythmic patterns. If you master this idea, you'll be able to ride the waves of life instead of being smashed by them. Nothing happens by accident according to cause and effect, the sixth principle. Each effect you see has a cause, and each cause you set off will have an effect. A lot of people feel like they are victims of things that happen to them and can't change. When you understand what real causes are, though, you realize that your thoughts, beliefs, and actions are what you're always setting in motion. The most important thing to understand is that most causes start in the mind and emotions long before they show up in the physical world. Everything that is happening in your life now is the result of things you did, thought, and believed in the past. It's not about who's to blame. It's about getting your power back. You can start to choose different causes to have very different effects if you believe that you are the one making your reality through causes. The seventh principle, gender, says that everything has both male and female energies. The energy of a man is directed, focused, active, and projective. Feminine energy is open, creative, and caring. Both must be in balance for the world to exist. In your own life, this means finding a balance between doing things and being present, between being focused on action and being open to receiving it. and between planning ahead and following your gut. A lot of people mostly work from one energetic pole, which makes things less balanced. When you use pure masculine energy without being open to feminine receptivity, you get burned out and end up going against the flow. If you have pure feminine energy without any masculine direction, your creativity and dreams will be all over the place. These 7 ideas are not laws that stand on their own. These are different parts of how consciousness works with the quantum field to make reality. When you start to notice how they show up in your daily life, you change from an unconscious player to a self-aware creator of your world. The old mystery schools kept this information secret because it gives you real power, the ability to consciously shape your reality instead of just reacting to it. This is exactly why this information has been kept secret. It is hard to control, manipulate, or program a population that understands these ideas. Instead of unconsciously following someone else's plan, they become independent creators of their own experiences. If this insight connects with you, affirm in the comments below, "I am creator." Let the act of writing these words be a declaration to the universe that you are stepping into your power. Let's look at something even more basic now that we've talked about the universal rules that govern your experience. The math that is built into quantum reality itself. This is not some kind of magical thinking. It can be measured, checked, and is right there in plain sight. Put your hand up. All of your fingerprints, the ratio of the bones in your fingers, and the ratio of your forearm to your hand show the same mathematical constant. The number 1.618 is also called phi, or the golden ratio. It shows up so often and in so many places in nature that it is mathematically impossible to call it a coincidence. Check out the petals on a flower outside. Check out the spiral shapes in a pine cone, or the way the seeds are arranged in a sunflower. Look at the beautiful, spiraling insides of a nautilus shell. All of these natural shapes follow the same mathematical pattern that was built into the most important structures by ancient cultures thousands of years ago. Not only does the Great Pyramid of Giza's size contain pi and the golden ratio, but if you figure out the relationship between its height and the base's perimeter, you get a number that is amazingly close to the speed of light. This mathematical smarts are not limited to the natural world. Even though the stock market seems to be controlled by chaos and human emotions, it is very accurate at following Fibonacci retracement levels. Traders who understand these underlying patterns usually do better than those who just use traditional analysis. This is because they are reading the basic mathematical structure that controls how people think as a whole. When we look at architecture, this is both interesting and scary. These sacred proportions were purposely used when building Gothic cathedrals to make people feel certain emotional and spiritual states. The difference between the nave's height and width, the distance between the columns, and even the resonant frequencies made by the space's dimensions were all carefully planned to raise people's consciousness. The people who built in the Middle Ages knew that mathematical harmony in space leads to harmony in our minds and emotions. Now compare this to a lot of modern corporate architecture. Many public buildings, shopping malls, and office cubicles don't use these harmonious ratios on purpose. The proportions feel slightly off, which can cause a low-level psychological unease that can show up as anxiety, restlessness, and problems thinking. This isn't a mistake. People are more likely to give in to outside control and less likely to think deeply and independently when they are in environments that feel slightly out of balance. It goes even deeper than that. Around the world, the standard for tuning musical instruments changed from 432 Hz to 440 Hz in 1939. Even though this may seem like a small change, The frequency of 432 Hz is in tune with the natural cycles of the planets, the patterns of the heartbeat, and the brainwave states that are linked to calm, creative focus. A lot of people say that music tuned to 432 Hz makes them feel more balanced, calm, and emotionally open. The 440 Hz standard, on the other hand, makes the nervous system feel slightly tense and jumbled. Even though it's only 8 Hz off from natural resonance, it's enough to make people feel stressed out all the time without them realizing it. This kind of math manipulation is used in every part of modern life. The flower of life pattern is more than just pretty pictures. It is an old symbol that can be found carved into temples all over the world. This geometric pattern has the geometric templates for all known molecular formations when you put it on top of the structure of atoms. The double helix of our DNA, carbon atoms, and even water molecules all follow the exact angles that were planned out in this very old design. The elements were thought to be represented by 5 perfect three-dimensional shapes called platonic solids. These solids are the building blocks of the natural world. Many viruses have a shape that is based on icosahedral geometry, water, and some minerals naturally grow into perfect octahedrons, air. The Fibonacci sequence is the most beautiful way for this mathematical intelligence to show itself in living things. When you add the last 2 numbers in a row, you get the next number: 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and so on. All living things, from trees that branch out to catch sunlight to galaxies with spiraling arms, follow this order. There are spirals in a pine cone that look like they are made up of Fibonacci numbers. Flower petals almost always show up in Fibonacci numbers. Dahlias have 8, lilies have 3, buttercups have 5, and tulips have 8. What's really amazing about this, though, is that this mathematical consciousness seems to be actively shaping reality to be more useful, complex, and beautiful. The golden ratio is not a coincidence. It shows the most stable structures, the best ways to pack things, and the most aesthetically pleasing sizes. You could say that the universe has a built-in drive for mathematical beauty. When you understand these ideas, you have a set of useful tools for making your own environment better. Follow the golden ratio when setting up a room. When the relationships between things follow these natural ratios, spaces feel more balanced. Your cognitive patterns can be aligned with these universal harmonics, even if you plan your day around these mathematical rhythms by working in focused blocks that follow the Fibonacci sequence. It's not a mistake that this kind of mathematical literacy isn't emphasized more in modern schools. When people comprehend the mathematical principles that give rise to reality, it is much harder to change them with fake environments and frequencies that don't match. You should start to notice the mathematical patterns in your own life. Pay attention to the places that make you feel calm and the ones that make you feel tense. You are not doing this at random. You are teaching your consciousness to understand the mathematical language that makes up quantum reality. Being aware of this is the first step in being able to tell the difference between being in harmony with nature and being manipulated by humans. The patterns can be measured, checked, and are always the same. You can't take them out of your mind after seeing them. And that is the kind of awakening that threatens any system that was made to keep you from connecting with the mathematical intelligence that supports and surrounds you. If this truth resonates with you, declare it in the comments. I see the code. Let this be an affirmation of your awakening to the hidden language of the universe. I have something to tell you that will completely change how you see every screen, app, and digital interaction you have. What if the internet, the technology you're using right now, was made to look like the quantum field? What if it was actually a global neural network purposed to connect human consciousness in ways that ancient mystics could only dream of? The internet has become the world's nervous system, sending information, feelings, and thoughts around the world in real time. This is not a mistake. The rules that govern how data moves around in the digital world are very similar to the rules we just talked about for universal laws. There is more to your social media feed than just random posts when you scroll through it. The algorithms use complex psychological ideas that have their roots in methods used in ancient mystery schools and go back thousands of years. The endless scroll on TikTok is a modern example of hypnotic induction. The quick succession of images, the unknown reward of finding an interesting video, and the repetitive movement of your thumb going down all remind me of the rhythmic, trance-inducing techniques that ancient initiates used to get into other states of consciousness. Instagram works on a level that is even more abstract. The platform has turned the old idea that pictures have power that goes beyond the conscious mind and speaks directly to the subconscious into a weapon. Utilizing color psychology, composition, and symbolic imagery to affect your wants, self-worth, and behavior, each carefully chosen feed is a modern-day form of spellcasting. The 140-character limit on Twitter isn't just a technical issue. It was meant to force people to communicate in short, aphoristic sentences, like the teachings of wisdom that were carved into temple walls. Ancient masters knew that deep truths are most powerful when they are boiled down into short phrases that people can remember and use again and again. This has been turned into a tool for mass manipulation on Twitter, where complicated issues are boiled down to emotionally charged sound bites that spread like spells. Let's take a closer look at the businesses. The main color sequence in the chakra system is used in Google's logo: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo. This isn't a mistake. Google shows itself as the doorway to all knowledge, and the colors they use subconsciously connect with your body's energy centers. This apple that has been bitten might be the clearest sign of all. It's the fruit that you can't eat from the tree of knowledge, which stands for the promise of wisdom that always costs something. In addition to selling computers, Steve Jobs was also selling the archetypal human desire to go beyond what is possible by gaining access to secret knowledge. The Amazon logo is an arrow going from A to Z, but it also looks like a smile. We're in charge of everything, from A to Z, and you'll be happy about that. Amazingly accurate psychological profiling is used by streaming services like Netflix. They don't just tell you about shows, they build personalized reality tunnels that feed you a steady stream of information that changes the way you see the world over time. With the autoplay feature, you don't have to make a choice. Instead, their algorithms will control your mind while you passively take in whatever they think you should see. Video games may be the most modern way that ancient initiation rules are being used. As a player goes through levels, they unlock new powers and get rewards for completing challenges. This is the same way that the ancient mystery schools set up their progression systems. Most modern games are designed to keep you stuck in repetitive loops that take your time and attention for corporate profit. In contrast, ancient initiations were meant to raise your consciousness. According to people who work in the occult, even the news media uses a strategy called revelation of the method. They usually don't hide the fact that they are manipulating people because, on some level, they need their conscious or unconscious permission for some types of influence to work. When a news organization says it is pushing a certain story, or a social media company says it is testing its users' minds, they are not just taking responsibility. They are following an old rule that says they have to tell everyone how they keep a strange kind of karmic balance. But there is also something very interesting going on. Potentially returning to decentralized wisdom and peer-to-peer exchange are technologies like cryptocurrency and the blockchain. These systems might be able to break the centuries-long hold on information and money that a few people have had. The search for conscious thought forms in ancient times is similar to the development of artificial intelligence. It's like the tech industry is trying to make digital gods. The most important question is whether these AIs will work for the good of all people or turn into the ultimate tools of control. Pay attention to how these things show up in your digital life. Pay attention to when you feel like scrolling. Pay attention to the colors and pictures that interest you. Ask yourself why you are seeing certain content. Becoming paranoid is not the point of understanding these connections. The point is to reclaim your mental sovereignty in a world that is becoming more and more programmed. You can use modern technology without being controlled by it if you understand the ancient universal principles that are built into it. You can enjoy the benefits of global connectivity without letting anyone control your thoughts. There are now universal laws and sacred math encoded in the digital systems that are shaping our consciousness. You have a choice. Will you stay an unconscious player, or will you learn how to move through this digital world with the help of someone who knows the bigger game being played? Carl Jung, a psychologist, wrote about synchronicity for the first time in the 1950s. He was writing about something much deeper than he could have imagined. He called it a meaningful coincidence, which means that it shows that the universe is connected in some way. He might not have fully understood that these coincidences are not just random signs of the cosmos being one. They are direct messages from a higher intelligence that are sent through the quantum field to help souls that are awakening find their way through the complicated world we live in now. Almost certainly you have been through this. When you think of an old friend you haven't talked to in years, they call you right away. Your search for specific information is answered by a stranger in a coffee shop who tells you exactly what you need to know. During a big change in your life, you keep seeing the numbers 1111 on the clock. These are not just random events. They are like breadcrumbs that have been laid out for you by a complex communication system that works through quantum reality itself. When you realize that your consciousness is a creative force that changes probability, you can see how synchronicity works much better. As soon as you concentrate or set a clear goal, you send out what quantum physicists call probability waves into the field of infinite potential. It's not by chance that these waves come together to form a certain experience. The way, frequency, and direction of your consciousness affect how they work. The quantum field is filled with universal intelligence that can change the probabilities that come true for you by slowly changing the field in response to your awareness. The Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, and the sacred geometry that underpins reality are just a few of the mathematical principles we discussed. The way synchronicities show up in your life is based on the same organizing principles. Patterns, rhythms, and exact timing show that they are smarter than random chance would suggest. I have written down thousands of cases of synchronicity, and there are patterns that keep showing up. Often the first sign is a match in numbers. People who are about to have a major awakening will keep seeing numbers like 1111, 333, or 444. True synchronicity involves repeatedly seeing the numbers in situations that feel deeply meaningful and impossible to ignore. In the same way, symbolic synchronicities work. Spirals, geometric shapes, and the Eye of Horus are some of the ancient symbols that may start to show up in strange places. There it is, not in a museum or a book, but in the shape of clouds, in architectural details you hadn't seen before, or in a glitch on your screen that makes a shape you can recognize. During a time of deep spiritual questioning, Marcus, an accountant, started to see spiral patterns everywhere. He saw them in the coffee foam, the look of a parking garage, and even the way data was shown in charts at work. The symbols that kept showing up led him to study sacred geometry, which is how he found his talent for healing with energy. Now he has a successful business that combines chakra balancing with financial advice, which is a unique mix that works well for his clients. I call the most profound synchronicities information cascades, which happen when just the right piece of information, person, or chance shows up at the exact moment you need it the most. These planned events often seem almost too good to be true. Jennifer, a documentary filmmaker, was having a hard time getting money for a project about water rights for Indigenous people. She missed her usual train home and had to take a later one on the same day she got her third rejection letter. A woman reading a report about contaminated groundwater was sitting across from her. They began to talk, and it turned out that the woman was in charge of a foundation that gave money to documentaries about environmental justice. Jennifer not only got full funding from the foundation, but they also put her in touch with the native communities that were at the heart of her award-winning film. A few things are needed to tell the difference between a meaningful synchronicity and a random coincidence. For starters, emotional resonance. There is a sense of awe and recognition when synchronicity happens, like when a puzzle piece fits perfectly into place. Second, time. They usually happen when you are going through a change, when you are asking the universe for help, or when you are in a state of transition. Third, keep going. Synchronicities that are meaningful don't happen just once. They say it over and over, usually with increasing frequency, until you get it and do something. Getting better at synchronicity literacy means switching from thinking in a straight line to recognizing patterns intuitively. Get a synchronicity journal going. Not only write down what happened, but also how you felt and what else was going on in your life at the time. You'll start to understand your personal synchronicity language, the unique ways the universe talks to you over time. If someone doesn't believe in synchronicity, they might use confirmation bias or the brain's ability to see patterns to explain it away. Even though our brains are designed to find patterns, this doesn't explain the strange timing, the real results, or the fact that synchronicities often give us information we weren't even looking for. The most interesting coincidences are the ones that lead to results we couldn't have planned or predicted, like Jennifer's big break with funding. These results suggest that there is an intelligence working behind the scenes, coordinating events across multiple probability streams to help us reach our ideal timeline. Pay close attention when you see that these patterns are getting stronger. It's likely that the universe is getting you ready for a big chance that needs your conscious help to come true. Don't look for magic. Instead, learn how to read the complex communication system that's been working all around you and is just waiting for you to tune in. Carl Jung made a huge step forward in psychology when he identified the collective unconscious as a shared psychic reservoir that holds all of humanity's deepest myths, symbols, and archetypes. What Jung couldn't see coming was how this natural, interconnected field of consciousness would be used as a weapon and turned into a control matrix that can be programmed. The field that helped our ancestors stay alive and work together is now used to control large groups of people. Think about how quickly whole groups of people can start acting, talking, and feeling the same way. Millions of people start doing the same things all of a sudden, almost overnight, when a new social media challenge comes out. This isn't natural cultural evolution. It's proof that a hacked collective field is being used to send specific programs into people's consciousness. The mechanism is more complex than you might think. When you watch other people, mirror neurons in your brain automatically fire, making you want to copy what they're doing. This biological trait is used by social media algorithms to show you a carefully chosen stream of behaviors that they want you to copy. Your nervous system doesn't tell the difference between an actual experience and one that you see. It just takes in and repeats what it sees most of the time. Think about how fashion trends create a false sense of scarcity and anxiety about one's status. Thin jeans are in style this season. Next thing you know, they're out, and blazers that are too big are in. These aren't natural tastes in art that people are developing on their own. They are made-up wants that are planted in your mind through coordinated media campaigns that hit your mirror neurons and your natural drive to fit in with others. People's made-up wants are sent to the collective unconscious through what they think are their real personal tastes. These are the same steps that cause political polarization. The programming matrix turns all debate into simple, predetermined left versus right, or us versus them frames, instead of encouraging people to think critically about complicated issues. People get their political identity from the media they choose to consume, and then they defend those beliefs with strong emotions, as if they were the result of deep reflection on their own. Real, deep problems, like corporations running the government or manipulating the money supply, stay well outside of the narrow range of acceptable debate. It's possible that consumer culture is the most sneaky form of programming. From the moment you are born, you are taught to find happiness in material things instead of growing as a person. The collective field sends out the message all the time that the next purchase, promotion, or social approval will make you happy. This programming is meant to make you unhappy all the time, so you're always looking for something outside of yourself to make you feel whole. During this process, your stress response system is taken over. Ads and news stories that make you afraid make your adrenaline and cortisol levels rise, which puts your nervous system into a survival mode. In this state, people stop being critical thinkers and start following orders more. To get out of this, you have to come to the deep realization that most of the thoughts going through your mind are not yours. These are transmissions from the shared programming matrix that you have come to identify with. Being able to watch your thoughts without automatically believing them or acting on them is the first step toward mental sovereignty. It is important to meditate every day. This isn't about the mindfulness apps that are sold in stores and claim to help you work better. This is about real consciousness training that makes it easier to keep your own awareness even when outside programming is going on. Sit still and don't judge your thoughts as you watch them come and go. Pay attention to which thoughts are true to who you are and which ones sound like they came from media clips, parental training, or social expectations. Learn what I call source discrimination, which means being able to figure out where your thoughts and impulses came from. Ask yourself where the urge to buy something, take a political stand, or judge someone came from the next time you feel it. Is this something that comes from my own real wisdom, or does it fit a program I learned from somewhere else? Real insights usually come with a sense of calm clarity, while programmed thoughts usually have a force that makes you feel compelled, scared, or rushed. Deprogramming comes with a lot of social problems. Your family and friends may not want you to wake up because it makes them think about how they are also unconsciously taking part in the collective illusion. People may feel judged or left out when you stop automatically agreeing with what everyone else says is true. Labels like conspiracy theorist are often used as weapons to stop people from thinking critically and force them to fit in with society. To handle these relationships well, you need to be kind and smart. No one needs to be persuaded of your point of view, but you also don't need to act like you believe things you know aren't true. The point is not to become lonely or suspicious. The goal is to be truly free to think, feel, and make decisions based on who you really are, not on what you were taught as a child. You are being called by the universe to take back control of your own consciousness. The first step in doing this is to see how deeply forces that are not working for your highest good have taken over your mind. If you are ready to reclaim your mind, affirm it in the comments. My mind is sovereign. Let this be a declaration of your mental freedom. When you begin to heed the universe's call and break free from the collective programming matrix, your entire system, physical, mental, and energetic, undergoes a profound and sometimes challenging transformation. These are not just mystical fantasies. We are talking about measurable, documented changes that neuroscience is only now beginning to understand. Let's start with what is happening in your brain. When you engage in consistent practices like meditation or deep contemplation, you are literally rewiring your neural networks. Groundbreaking research has shown that these practices increase gamma wave activity in the brain, the same brain waves associated with moments of profound insight and heightened awareness. Brain scans of individuals undergoing a spiritual awakening reveal increased connectivity between the prefrontal cortex, the seat of rational thought, and the limbic system, the seat of emotion, creating new, high-speed pathways for processing information. The pineal gland deserves special attention. Ancient traditions have long called it the seat of the soul, and modern science is starting to see why. This tiny, pine cone-shaped gland, located deep in your brain, produces DMT, dimethyltryptamine, the same powerful psychoactive compound found in plants like ayahuasca. When your pineal gland becomes activated through specific practices like sensory deprivation or certain breathing techniques, people report remarkably similar experiences: incredibly vivid and prophetic dreams, spontaneous visions, and what can only be described as direct downloads of information. The physical symptoms of this awakening process often catch people completely by surprise. Your sleep patterns are likely to change dramatically. Many awakening individuals find themselves waking up for no reason between 3 and 5 a.m. In traditional Chinese medicine, these are known as the spiritual hours, a time when the veil between dimensions is said to be at its thinnest. Do not fight this. Use this quiet time for meditation or journaling. Your relationship with food will also transform. Heavy, processed foods will start to feel dense and unpleasant in your body. You will naturally find yourself craving lighter, more vibrant foods like fruits, vegetables, and pure water. This is not about becoming a health nut. It's that your body is becoming more sensitive to energy, and dense foods carry a dense, low vibration. Trust these new instincts. Electromagnetic sensitivity often becomes more pronounced. You might find that being near cell phone towers, Wi-Fi routers, or even certain electronics makes you feel agitated or uncomfortable. This heightened sensitivity can extend to all forms of energy. Large crowds may suddenly feel overwhelming. You might walk into a room and be able to sense the emotional residue left behind by a previous argument. The emotional purging phase can be one of the most difficult parts of the process. As your consciousness expands, old, suppressed traumas and unprocessed emotions will rise to the surface to be healed and released. This is not a punishment. It is a liberation. Your psyche is finally strong enough to process what it couldn't handle before. You might begin to feel energy moving through your body in tangible ways. You could experience tingling sensations, waves of heat or cold, or what feels like a subtle electric current running through your nervous system. This is often a sign of a spontaneous Kundalini activation, the awakening of the dormant spiritual energy that lies at the base of your spine. Managing these symptoms requires practical strategies. When the energy feels too intense, grounding is essential. Walk barefoot on the earth, hold a grounding stone like hematite, or simply lie on the ground and consciously connect with the Earth's magnetic field. Diet plays a crucial role. Increase your intake of pure water, as your cells need extra hydration to process these energetic shifts. The social isolation phase is a challenge for almost everyone on this path. As your consciousness expands, conversations about celebrity gossip, sports, or consumerism will start to feel meaningless and hollow. You may feel like you are speaking a different language from the people around you. This temporary period of isolation serves an important purpose. It forces you to develop a strong inner connection to your own truth, rather than depending on external validation. This is when finding your tribe becomes critical. Seek out communities, online or in person, where people are openly discussing these experiences. The validation of connecting with others on a similar journey is profoundly healing. As your awakening stabilizes, more advanced abilities may emerge, such as more frequent prophetic dreams, heightened intuition, or a sudden explosion of creative energy. Your reality is shifting, whether you choose to resist it or embrace it. These symptoms are not problems to be fixed. They are signs that you are successfully breaking free from the limitations that once defined you. If you feel these changes happening within you, type in the comments, "I trust the process." Affirm your faith in your own evolution. People in the past knew a very important truth that most people today have forgotten. Consciousness is not just something that happens in your head. Precise environmental engineering can be used to boost, focus, and direct this field phenomenon. When you enter the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid, you are entering one of the most advanced consciousness labs ever made by humans. The granite walls of the chamber are full of quartz crystals, which make a natural piezoelectric field that responds to pressure and sound. The room turns into a resonant cavity when you chant or speak in it. It is tuned to a frequency that turns off the brain's language centers and turns on its intuitive processing centers. This is not a mistake. It's a form of high-tech equipment. The builders knew that certain acoustic frequencies could change human brainwave patterns from beta awareness to theta awareness, where the boundary between the individual mind and universal consciousness starts to blur. Pyramids weren't the only kind of architecture that could change consciousness, though. The goals of Gothic cathedrals were similar, but they were reached in different ways. Their high, vaulted ceilings weren't just for looks. They also have special sound effects that make more alpha brainwaves, which are linked to states of calmness and meditation. The sizes of these cathedrals are based on sacred geometry ratios that show how the universe is connected in a way that is harmonious. Being in Chartres Cathedral during a choral performance is like acoustic levitation, where the sound waves elevate your consciousness above normal awareness. You can make these strong effects happen in your own space. Your most useful and easy-to-reach tool is sound. To change your brainwave patterns in minutes, Tibetan singing bowls tuned to certain frequencies can help. It is known that the 528 Hz frequency, which is sometimes called the love frequency, can open the heart chakra and make you more intuitive. When different frequencies are played in each ear, they make your brain sync up with the mathematical difference between them. If you play 100 Hz in one ear and 104 Hz in the other, your brain will sync up with a 4 Hz delta wave. This is the same frequency that your brain uses when you are in a psychic or deep meditation state. but sound is just the start. Applied physics that changes your consciousness through visual resonance is what sacred geometry is. Use the golden ratio to help you set up your meditation space. You can make certain geometric fields with crystals. These effects can be made much stronger by water. A simple indoor fountain makes negative ions, which boost the production of serotonin and make you think more clearly. It's not just pretty to have plants around. They're biological antennae. There are electromagnetic fields that can be measured that interact positively with the human biofield. These fields are made by some plants, especially those with spiral leaf patterns. A lot of the time, the meditation techniques that make these environmental effects happen are surprisingly specific. To activate the pineal gland through visualization, you need to have clear images in your mind. For example, picture spiraling indigo light in the middle of your forehead. Some types of breathwork can even create the same altered states of consciousness that psychedelic drugs do. For example, the Wim Hof method involves controlled hyperventilation, followed by holding your breath. This can flood the system with naturally occurring DMT while you keep your mind clear. Here, being smart is very important. While you're in a trance, not every thought or vision you have is a message from a higher power. Real downloads have certain traits. They usually come to you whole and complete. They contain information you couldn't have learned any other way, and you can use them in real life to prove they're real. Biologist Rupert Sheldrake says that when several people synchronize their brainwave patterns by chanting or coordinated breathing, they create a morphic resonance field. In this field, the boundaries between individual consciousness dissolve into a powerful collective awareness. This is why ceremonies and meditations with a group can bring about changes that are hard to make on your own. The old temples were not memorials to gods who were no longer important. They were operating guides for consciousness itself, written in stone, geometry, and sound math. You now have the keys to rebuild those temples in your own reality. You can use your awareness as both a laboratory and a tool to learn more about the universe's infinite intelligence. Throughout history, wise people have known what quantum physicists are now proving in the lab. Consciousness doesn't just watch reality, it makes it happen. Your consciousness was getting ready to work with the universe's main creative force while you were feeling those activation symptoms and expanding your awareness in the sacred spaces you made. New quantum field theory says that reality is not made up of solid things at its most basic level. The quantum vacuum is what physicists call the area where there is no matter and everything is possible. You're not in empty space. You're in a shimmering sea of pure possibility where every possible outcome exists at the same time, until you consciously observe these probability waves and they merge into a single experience. In quantum mechanics, this is the well-known observer effect. When you look at a particle of light, it either acts like a spread-out wave or a single, localized particle. This is not a figure of speech. It is measurable, repeatable science that backs up what mystery schools have taught for thousands of years. Focused consciousness changes the physical world. These days, though, most lessons on manifestation get this part wrong. They talk about thoughts as if they were magic wands that make things happen on their own. The mechanism itself is much more beautiful. Thoughts do change the electromagnetic field, but they are only truly powerful when they are backed by strong emotions and in line with your soul's purpose. It's kind of like tuning a radio. You need the right frequency, your thought, a strong signal, your emotion, and small amounts of noise, your limiting beliefs. I've looked at hundreds of examples of manifestation that worked, and there is always the same pattern. People who consistently make their dreams come true know that their emotions are the waves that carry their intentions forward. Sarah, one of my clients, wanted to quit her job as a corporate lawyer and become a healer. She didn't just visualize success on her way to making her dream come true. It happened when she learned to be truly thankful for her current job, which had provided for her, while also feeling the deep joy of her future reality, which would be helping other people heal. The quantum field could pick up on that state of emotional coherence because it was so strong and distinct. Mystics from long ago talked about speaking things into existence, and study of cymatics today explains how this works. At the molecular level, sound vibrations actually arrange things in the world. If you are sure of your intentions and say them out loud, you create vibrational patterns that change the world around you. But this is where most people fail at their own projects. They try to make something happen instead of letting it happen naturally. The quantum field reacts to clear intention and calm expectation, not to energy that is desperately grasping for something. When you are set in your ways about a certain date or the exact way something should happen, you create energetic resistance that stops what you want from happening. Another big mistake is trying to manifest from your ego's wants instead of your soul's purposes. There is intelligence in the universe that can tell the difference between what your personality wants and what your soul needs to grow. When your intentions are in line with your deeper purpose, things in the real world seem to work together to help you. People who are only interested in themselves often run into problems after problems. So now we can talk about the ethics of conscious creation. The ability to change reality with your consciousness is probably the most powerful power a person can have. But with great power comes great responsibility. This means you need to ask yourself a very important question before you start. Will making this desire come true serve not only my highest good, but also the highest good of everyone else involved? When people show up from a place of service, I've seen amazing things happen. A musician who was having a hard time tried for months to get a record deal that would make him famous and rich, but nothing happened. Within weeks of changing his goal to make music that would heal and inspire others, chances started to come his way. It looks like the universe supports manifestations that help the evolution of everything. Synchronicity is very important in this case. The quantum field is telling you through these meaningful coincidences that your intentions are moving forward and that you are on the right track. Experts can even learn how to do something called timeline jumping, which means consciously moving their attention between parallel versions of reality where different things have already happened. This is not science fiction. Quantum mechanics says that all possible timelines exist at the same time as chances. You can literally change the probability track of your experience by lining up your consciousness and your emotional state with the timeline where the outcome you want has already happened. Remember that you're not trying to change the truth to fit your needs. You are getting better at dancing with it. You and the universe are both involved in a process that will never end. If you align your will with the intelligence of the universe, miracles will happen naturally in your life. If you are ready to create from this aligned state, affirm in the comments, "I create." Let this be your declaration as a conscious architect of your reality. Through ancient wisdom, we have traveled through the quantum field of infinite possibility and learned how to connect with a higher intelligence. We have also learned how reality itself reacts to our consciousness. Now we come to the most important realization. Your awakening is more than just a change in yourself. It is the most important thing you have done to help humans make the biggest evolutionary leap ever. You can see that the Great Awakening is not some far-off prophecy. It's happening right now, through everyone who chooses consciousness over conditioning. Imagine a huge orchestra playing music from all over the world. When someone awakens, they become a unique instrument that adds their own frequency to a symphony that is changing everything about being human. There is something called morphic resonance that most people don't understand about how collective consciousness works. You are changing more than just yourself when you heal a limiting belief, settle an inner conflict, or raise your vibrational state. Many more people will be able to make the same breakthrough thanks to your work. You are literally making new paths in the field of human awareness as a whole. Because you are an awakened being, you have a huge responsibility. In a world that still mostly works from a place of fear, lack, and separation, you become a center for higher frequencies. This doesn't mean you have to preach or try to persuade people of anything. The most powerful awakened people often do their work through their pure energy presence and the power of their real example. But being conscious in a world where most people are unconscious takes a lot of skill and kindness. When you stop following what other people think and start making decisions based on your gut, your family will think you've lost your mind. Your friends might not like how clear and honest you are now, because it makes them think about the compromises they make too. It's important to keep what I call compassionate detachment. Remember that each person is at the exact right time in their own evolutionary journey. The person who still believes everything they see on the news and the family member who only measures success by money are both very important to the big picture. Try not to think you are more spiritual than other people. You have gone backwards as soon as you start to think you are more evolved than other people. When you awaken really, you become humble, not proud. It makes you want to help, not split up. It brings love, not doubt. Choose from your center, not from what you've been taught. When you have to make a choice, take a moment to listen to your body's wisdom before using your mind to think things through. The smartest parts of your body often know the right way to do something before your brain does. You could call what you do in your relationships evolutionary love. Do not try to change or fix other people. Instead, focus on making a space where they can be themselves, while you stay true to yourself and your boundaries. Help them grow without taking responsibility for the decisions they make. Love them without caring about how things turn out. You can help everyone around you by using your awakened consciousness in very useful ways. As a responsible parent, you can help your kids develop their natural spiritual awareness while also giving them the tools they need to deal with the real world. In business, you can set up procedures that make things better for everyone, not just the shareholders. As a citizen, you can help make support networks so that everyone can do well. For many lifetimes, the universe has been planning your awakening by giving you the exact experiences and challenges your consciousness needs to grow. The quantum field's knowledge and the technologies of the past have all helped you get ready for this very moment. You're not supposed to be here. Your special mix of gifts, experiences, and points of view is exactly what the awakening of everyone needs. It's a clear call. Come into your full power as a conscious creator of the world around you. Trust what your heart tells you. Do what is best for everyone. Love with no strings attached. Make whatever you want. The world is waiting for your one-of-a-kind contribution to the biggest change in human history. If you feel this call deep within your soul, affirm it now in the comments. I am the shift. Embrace your role in this incredible time of change.